This is going to be the quickest intro ever because the batteries are flat on my camera and I need to do the intro. So this little video is about Stromberg carburetors on this Stag. If you like it, if you want to subscribe, it helps the old algorithms. If you want to contact me, churchhouseclassics, it's all one word, @gmail.com. And if you want to support the channel or buy me a pint, then there's a PayPal me thing scrolling along down here. Anyway, enjoy the video. Fairly self-explanatory. Okay, carbs off the red Stag. I've decided to yank them because it's running so flipping rich. I mean, okay, last it ran on choke. I think my car will run for about 5 minutes on the fuel that's in that inlet. I know the inlet is supposed to have a bit of fuel in it, but I thought the quickest and easiest way of actually getting this thing sorted out was to pull it apart. So we've got the driver's side dashboard out. I'll try and give this thing some light, actually, to get better light in here. I know. Needles attached, needles in fair shape. It all looks okay. The spring was in there, which is fine. I mean, the dashboards were going rising and dropping quite happily. There was no real issues with any of that. So I thought next I'm not going to bother taking the carbs off the pedestal, do most of the work I need to do here. So a lot of oil and shit in here. I can probably use the wipes to clean that lot up. Let's have the other one off. Let's have it off for now. The other reason for me taking this all off is, as you recall, one of the carb ends, these sort of, not those nasty plastic ends, but the really cheap nasty plastic ends, that snaps off. So as is that about too, so be careful with that. Tag. Passenger side. Where's that other screw that I just took off? There it is. How can we do this light? This is a bit better. Phone going ba-doop. Trouble is the little light strobes. Wouldn't work on the workmaker. Tell you what might work. We'll work on the top of the container on your toolbox. Right, that comes out. Encouraging it's got a spring in it. Dashboard needs to come up as well, and then it comes out. Right, so that one's running lean, that one's running rich, so they're not balanced to start off with. It could well be down to the jet depth, I don't know yet. We're already, 15 minutes in on this job so far, so gives you a rough idea about how long this is likely to take. I've got loads more of these little star washers, which are on there. Now everything on this carburetor is kind of wedged in. I don't know if they've used some sort of thread lock or something. I really don't know. Right, okay, there we go. There's the washer. Gosh. That's gummed up, isn't it? I need to be a bit organised here, don't I, as to what bits are from what. So that's all driver's side. That's all passenger side. Okay, choke body is the other thing I wanted to get off, because I wanted to check that the choke is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. Oh, God's sake. Because they're not going to come off, are they? Is the vent working? That one is. That's good news. I want my little screwdriver. Where's the little screwdriver? Sometimes these things are just fiendishly fucking tight. For some inexplicable reason, that was going. I expect that someone has built these and gone absolutely berserk with thread lock. Yeah. These need a complete rebuild. That spindle has completely gone. Listen, you ready? Better off one. That's play on the throttle spindle, that. air is going to get drawn in through there and it's going to weaken the mixture, which is probably why the carbs are all over the place. I'll see if I can get a rebuild kit. What's the other one like? I need to get the pedestal off the end really. I've got to call the customer in half an hour, so it'll be a bit of interesting news for them, isn't it? There's a lot of silt in there. I think the filter might not have been working properly at one point or another. Right, let's get the other float chamber off. That was passenger side. Then we've got driver's side. Oopsie, decade. Yes, done fuck all miles over the last decade, and because of that, I think that, yes, there's a world of silt in here as well. Look at that shit. Fuel that's just gone off over the years. Gasket off. Not that I'm going to reuse it, I just want to get it off. It's not been leaking. Right, now, different colour floats. Multicultural carburetors. Oh yes. Right. These, I can actually see the amount of play on that throttle butterfly there. And this was just as bad now. They're tired, I'm afraid. I keep saying it, right, up to 10. So we're 45 minutes, sorry, just 40 minutes in. I thought I'd show you this. Stag carbs. Okay, so I've been stripping them down. I've ordered a rebuild kit from Zenith. And that'll be coming along, fairly comprehensive rebuild kit. And I thought what I wanted to do here was just check on the needle. So first and foremost, we'll take the diaphragm off. Aside from there being a fucking self-tapper holding the diaphragm in, we'll ignore that. We'll take the diaphragm off. Now, you'll notice that I am being very careful when I do this. Because one of the things I like to check is that we haven't had a ham-fisted gibbon in here putting the diaphragm the wrong way. Now here you can see the slot that the notch on the diaphragm needs to go into. Can you see a notch? No, you fucking can't. Because some twat's put it on the wrong way around. Right, yeah. Basically, on the bottom of all diaphragms you have a tab. On the top of all diaphragms you have a tab. The tab on the bottom goes into the slot on the piston. Yeah, every fucking time. There is no exceptions. And on the top, you look at the body of the carburetor over here, there is a slot here. It's a slot right there. And that takes the tab on the diaphragm, which is right there. The reason for this is, excuse the oil, let's swipe at the blue powder. The reason is that the needle is sprung in one direction. Not to take that, but one direction. Did you see what I did then? And so basically, you have to put the dashpot in the right orientation, and this is why these diaphragms are important. So someone's changed a diaphragm, not understood the significance of the tab and the hole, and stuck the diaphragm in the wrong way, which meant that the needle was pointing against the wrong side of the jet. Now, there's reasons why they do this shit, and I'd imagine that carb would have been badly overfueling. So that was the driver's side carb. Let's have a quick look. It's a bit sweary, that, sorry folks. I do like it when I find self-tappers rather than machine screws. Oh hello, it's a spider. No it's not, it's a bug, fuck off. I don't mind spiders, but that was a nasty looking mosquito looking thing. I don't know where it came from. It's pissing cold, so it's got no right to be out there. Maybe it's COVID. I'll call it COVID. Right, so here we've got, actually this was the driver's side, that was the passenger side. We'll take the driver's side one apart. So again, we'll just remove the dashpot and the spring. I'm going to pop that one over there. On the top here, there's less oil in that one. So on the top here, let's loosen the screws and see what we can find. Well, nice that we haven't got any self-tappers in here. That's always a good start, really, isn't it? I mean, I tried to think what would happen if that self-tapper came loose, because it is small enough Where'd it go to? There it is. Is it small enough to go through these holes at the bottom here? Luckily, no. Because if that self-tapper came out and went into there, the last place you'd want it to do is go through the throttle body and into the carburetor. There are just elements of stupidity that get involved. Nothing to do with the owner of this car, by the way. This is previous owner, or mechanic that was involved in it via previous owner. But that, I'm afraid, is ridiculous when you can't actually put a diaphragm in properly, in the proper orientation. Right, I'm holding the diaphragm. I'm going to tip the screws and the top section off. Let's lift the diaphragm off. So there's the slot. So I'm expecting the tab to be in the slot, and it wasn't. So luckily it was closer, but it wasn't in it. That one was a mile out. This one was about 4 mil out. Morons. The other thing I've noticed on these, by the way, now I've got the diaphragms off, the other thing I've noticed on these is that one carb is running significantly richer than the other. And the reason I wanted to take these apart is because I wanted to first of all check the needles. Is that needle bent? I'm not sure that needle's not bent. That was straight. I think really it's not a case of leaving it to the professionals, because these carbs are not difficult to service or maintain. Oh yeah, it's always nice when these screws are loose as well. A little grub screw in there, that was loose. Now, it is attached to the adjuster, which is good news. So let's get my Stag. Nice little kit, this. When you see these things, you've got to snipe them. Yeah, this is a Sykes Pickervant complete carburetor service kit. It's got the two tools in here for the Strombergs. It's got that style there, which has got this toothed slot on the end for the Land Rovers, and it's got this style here, which is for the Stag. Now I did check the type, so basically the tag on the top end of the carburetor is the correct one for the Stag. Now we'll hold that, and really I want to be winding this and see if the needle comes down, and it does. So the needle is attached to the adjuster. It only goes down so far, and then it comes out, which is good. It's nice, it comes out. I've had one of these before now that was araldrited in. I know they're sticky, it was actually fucking araldrited in. And again, I don't know what sort of ham-fisted gibbon would araldite an adjustable needle into a carburetor. Now, the actual number for the needle is, see the black washer there, the spring washer. When you put it down and rotate the needle, it's up there. I'll have to use my loop, I'll have to use my camera in order to do that. What I'll do is I'll put these in the correct order. So this is the driver's side and that's the passenger side. I've got a feeling that this carburetor, we're not going to find that that needle is actually attached to the adjuster, and I think that may be what the problem is there. So I'll take the screw out and we'll see if we can withdraw the needle. Oh, it is. I'll take it back. I will take it back. Oh, the adjuster feels nasty though. Ooh. Adjuster feels very nasty. The adjuster doesn't turn either. Oh, I have a problem with this one. Oh no, there it goes. Very, very, very stiff. Right, and there goes the needle. It's off. I will double check that's not bent. I don't think it is now. Now it's out of the carburetor, I don't think it's bent. I'm wondering perhaps the adjuster had gone in at a jaunty angle and caused the problem. But you can see there, the needle definitely has a spring to one side. And that's why the slot on there is designed to mate up with a slot here for the grub pin, and then there's a slot on the top of the, that is really sticky, slot on the top of the barrel which is meant to mate up with a tab on the diaphragm, and there's a slot on the bottom. I mean, come on guys, it's not difficult. I'm not suggesting anyone here did that. Right, quite oily. Right, what I'm going to do next is bang the adjuster out. They are a bit of a faff. And really, the problem you're going to have is that you don't want the adjuster there's a thread on the edge of the adjuster, and you really don't want to be clouting it. It's probably going to end up being I think I've used threaded bar or a bolt in the past just to get the thing to start moving. I don't think I've got a threaded bar long enough. What's that, copper tube? That might do it. Now they shouldn't. You can hear it start to move. Yeah, changing tone. The reason I use a copper tube is the copper tube is going to be softer than the adjuster, so that becomes sacrificial. I might have a longer bit of that. There's a longer bit of that. Nice. It's got a flare at the end of it as well. There it goes. Now, on the end of that, there's the adjuster that was very, very, very tight. Properly fucking chewed up as well, so God knows what someone had in there. And there's the star washer. So it's got the star washer and it's got the adjuster. This is the one that I was struggling with just now. And here, you can see it's got a hex hole in it. But does it? Again, I think there's been some gibbonry involved with that one. Incidentally, if you are finding the oil in your dashpots, when you top your dashpots up, the top bit over here, top that up, it gets sucked through. There's no ring on here. That's the O-ring you need to change. That's easy enough. Right, let's have this adjuster out next. Bit with this. It's a bit tighter than the other one. Just straighten that out. Fucking self-tapper. Where do people get this from? I know, let's put a self-tapper in there. Trying to get that straight out. Bastard thing. Right, now, I should be able to, in fact, put it in the right end, Richard. Comes, and he's out on my hand. And there we have got the star washer, which is the important bit, and the end piece. Now that's all out. Don't really need to do anything with these other than just clean them. What I did want to do was check that the adjuster actually fits into the thread on the end of the needle. Now this one should do beautifully. There he is, just winds on and off. That's important. Now this one was very, very, very tight. May well have been cross-threaded, I don't know. Oh, see, it goes in beautifully. I don't know why it was so tight. In which case I maybe need to just double check in here, make sure there's no crap inside that, but there isn't. No, that's fine. I think what we're really going to do is this whole lot now, I need to find a box to put all the various nuts and bolts in, and then I'm going to clean up the carburetor bodies and get those looking nice. Or looking better than they do at the moment, to be honest. It's just going to be a brush over with some gunk. And I think the rest of them are okay. Like I say, that valve is working, the other one isn't. But I'll go through. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just going to end up being kind of lobbed in a bucket, because one kind of half-inch across flats bolt is going to be the same as any of the others. That was the other screw that was weird. It's one of the dashpot screws. And people say that Strombergs are crap. Funny though, isn't it? I think it's the ham-fisted gibbons that are crap. The other thing I did notice, by the way, and someone's had these apart, I don't know if I mentioned it on the video before, but these are the temperature compensators or temperature adjusters that fit onto the side of these CD2 carburetors. Now today, that one is slightly open and this one's closed. They want to be pretty much the same, but there is a setting that you need to go to. That's a knackered gasket there. And it looks like they've been blowing a fair amount of crap out the side. This one's worse than the other one. Yes, it doesn't matter which side they go back onto because I'm going to balance them. Okay, I think we need to get ourselves organised and have a damn good clean up, I think. Check out my new little workshop light for doing filming. How about that? It's about 14 quid from Amazon. It's got all sorts of different settings on it that I haven't quite worked out yet. Dim, bright, different phases, harsh light, warm light. Which one looks nicest? That one. It's LED, it might flicker, I don't know yet. Right. That's the workshop light situation sorted out. Now, I was going through some of the videos on these carbs when I first stripped them apart. And I found out something really very, very interesting. We've obviously been down the route of the diaphragm situation. And the thing that I found out that was really interesting is I am fairly convinced that one of these carburetors had the butterfly on the wrong way round. I've been through the video. Here's a freeze frame of what I saw. Now, what you'll notice on the diaphragm, sorry, on the butterfly, there's two dimples. One dimple, two dimples. These dimples always, without fail, go towards the bottom on the inlet side of the carburetor every single time without fail. And the reason for that is one of these edges is very slightly chamfered so that the throttle closes properly. Where's the other one? Here's the other one. Here's the other carburetor, exactly the same. So what we're looking at here is you've got dimple, 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 bottom of carb, and that's how they are set up. If one of those butterflies was the wrong way up, then it's not going to seat properly against the body. And it is going to be all over the shop, so there'll be more air being drawn through one of the carbs than the other, even though all the throttle linkages and everything will be balanced, because it's not closing properly. And because there's more air being drawn through it, you're never going to balance the bloody thing. So all I can suggest is, if you don't know how to build the carburetors, watch one of these videos. If you do know how to build the carburetors, then you all know about the dimples. And if you've got a car that you cannot tune up, then just check that these little dimples here are on the bottom edge of the butterfly. And if they're not, throw them at the person who rebuilt them for you. Now, so that's one of the key areas. The second key area was obviously the diaphragm. The last key area that I've noticed that was a problem on these, this choke mechanism was very sticky. So let me open the throttle so it's not actually going to retract. And it springs back nicely now. Now, I ended up taking the whole choke module apart, so I'm doing this nut here, taking all the mechanism off the top, the spring, and cleaning everything up. It's very gummed up, and I think this is a byproduct of the kind of the unleaded petrol situation that we find ourselves in. And I've got a feeling that there's a lack of lubrication in the fuel, which causes these things really just to kind of get a bit sticky, I guess, over time. I mean, it's something that will have taken 20 or 30 years, but just something you need to be aware of. That when the throttle is open, you want that choke to spring back against its bump stop there. Similarly, this choke springs back nice and solidly back to its bump stop. If the choke is sticking, because at the moment the choke was sticking to about that point, so it wasn't closing properly. If the choke is sticking, then there's a good chance that your mixture is going to be running a little bit richer than it should be, sometimes. But then you go over a bump and it unsticks and then the mixture's fine. So you're all over the shop as far as the mixture of the carburetor is concerned. pretty much everything else I will go through now on this video. I'm waiting for the rebuild kit to turn up. As soon as that is in, I will show you how to get these things set up. And the reason I started looking through the video about these dimples, by the way, is because having reassembled this now, there's still play in the bush, but nowhere near as much. It's still play. I mean, still unacceptable levels of play. So this bush on this end here is utterly shagged out. The one on the other end feels okay, but this bush here is gone. And on this carburetor, similarly, I am feeling much less play on it. I still think it requires bushes, but it might not require the complete rebuild or the complete contents of the rebuild kit. We'll see. We'll have a look. These fellas, they just need setting up. They need balancing the temperature compensators. But I think once we've done that, I've got a feeling these carbs are going to be all right. I just think that they have been tampered with by someone who really didn't understand the significance of the butterfly being in a particular orientation. In fact, let's take one off. Need a flat base screwdriver. We'll take this one off. So let's take this one off. Here, it's nearest. Right. Okay. So I've got new screws and everything all coming. I always belt and braces thread lock these and peen them over, these screws, because these are on the inlet side, and you really don't want one of these bastards dropping into the inlet manifold, because invariably it will end up going past an inlet valve and into the cylinder, and it's just going to go tick 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 and chew your engine up slowly but surely. Right, now undo that screw there. Now at the moment, because I've been kind of baselining these carbs and fiddling and messing around with them, you'll see that the disc actually sits really neatly into that orifice there. Let's just bring the light down just a little bit lower. Right, okay. Now in order to get the disc out, we obviously rotate the throttle a little bit, slide the disc out, and then the throttle can go back. And here you can very clearly see the dimples on it. Okay? You can see circles on this side, but you can see dimples on that side. And this is why I think that there might have been a problem. You can also see there's quite a lot of wear on these edges here. Now, it's probably quite difficult to see, but on this disc I can see that that edge there is chamfered that way. Go to this edge, and that appears to be straight. So there is definitely a difference. Now, if I put this in deliberately, put this in the wrong way around now. So let's go for dimples towards the inside of the carburetor, like that. So you just need to adjust the throttle just a tiny bit. Dimples towards the inside of the car. It's cold today. It's supposed to be snowing. How's it get there? Right, there we go. And it goes in. There we are. And it goes in. And it looks like it fits. But I can tell you now, there is a hulking great gap around down here. Yeah? And that's where the extra air is going to go through the carburetor and into the inlet. So yeah, there's a reason why those dimples are there. Now obviously if you've got the carburetors that have got the bloody great big poppet valves, then you'll know which side is which, because obviously the poppet goes on the inlet side, so you'll know not to balls that up. And the second thing I'd strongly recommend, if you have got the poppets, cut the fuckers off, or get different discs. And we'll do this properly in a minute when I'm just loosely assembling. But what I tend to do is put the screws in so it's held roughly in place. Flick the throttle a couple of times so it really is seated where it needs to be. Do them up a little bit more, not so they're tight, but just so the disc can move around. And now you see that it's got a nice tight seat all the way around here. Do you remember I showed you when I put the really bright torch on here, and you can see around the edges, but I could see more than that around the edges of the disc. That's quite normal, that. So want a bit of air to go past them. So that was it on carbs. More, I think, this week when I get the kit in. I think, kind of the lesson is, are Stromberg carburetors crap, or is poor use of mechanical knowledge or lack of mechanical knowledge crap. I think the carburetors are fine. I think in this instance we've had a couple of PEBCAC issues. And PEBCAC was an old reference that I got from the computer industry, which was problem exists between chair and keyboard. So if you've ever been on the receiving end of a call centre and they're giving you a PEBCAC reference, it's because you've been an idiot. Right, that's that. Because people ask me specifically about setting carbs up on a Stag, I will do a detailed instruction in this video or the next video on setting these carbs up for a Stag. We found a couple of faults already. We'll build them back up with new butterflies, with throttles, with bushes and gaskets. We'll set the float heights, we'll baseline the carburetors, and we will get them running sweet as a nut.